Hello, everyone, and welcome to the BNI Dubai's podcast. This morning, I would like to interview somebody who has been with us at the DNA level, and he has been with BNI for over 14 years. And just recently, he's handed over his membership to his son. I'm talking about none other than Prem Mulani, and let's hear what he has to say about his journey to
Member
BNI.
as well. So tell me about your
Okay.
company, how old,
Okay.
how it
So,
started.
so actually, the company, the insurance business in UAE was not started by my father. It was started by my grandfather in 1958. Okay. So my grandfather started that, and then my father joined him in '62. Then fast forward 1975, there was a family split in the businesses. My father branched out on his own. So he branched out on his own 1975, and then I was in university. I graduated 1990. I had to come back to Dubai because my father was terminally ill, and he had his own independent business. And I had to then, over the next 1 year until he passed away in '91. I pretty much took over the reins of the business.
Hmm.
So
It was
yeah.
called something else earlier, I
It was
remember.
called Baloise Insurance. It's a Swiss insurance company.
Hmm.
So we were representatives of the Swiss insurance company, and we started that. And so I took over. Now the unfortunate part was that in those years leading up to my father's passing away, um, we lost a lot of our key employees. Also, they were headhunted away by the competition.
Oh, no.
So and in turn clients as well. So when I did take over, and I was 20, mind you. My longest serving staff member was our driver, who was 4 years with us. Next longest one was 3 years. Otherwise, pretty much all the staff was relatively new. So it was a bit of a learning curve. And then to make things worse, 1992, the Swiss insurance company we were representing took a decision to withdraw out of all of Asia and Africa. So that included Middle East.
Oh no.
So now here I'm 22, and now we're looking at trying to find another partner, which we tied up then. Since this was a closed market, no new foreign insurers could come in. We tied up then with the Swiss insurers. They realized the spot they put us in. They helped us tie up with Arab Orient Insurance of the Al Futtaim Group, and so by the age of 23, I'd signed up a contract with them. For the next 14 years, we were representatives, chief agents of Arab Orient. And then what happened is, and I credit a lot of this so the company I had then was a company called Kestrel Insurance Agency.
I have that card of yours till now.
So that was the first, so when I joined BNI 14 years ago, I was representing Kestrel Insurance Agency. And you see, as an agency, we were representing only one company. So I got that disconnect that I wanted to be an independent broker where I could advise my clients. And but having gone through so many issues before, you're in a comfort zone, so you don't want to get out of that comfort zone. And so I guess every time I used to address that thing, but then I used to just back off. An opportunity came by one day in 2005 where pretty much I found out one broking firm was being closed down, which meant, you see, starting your own insurance broking firm, it's a long process. It takes 6, 8, 10 months. It can take. So what happened is one of my friends decided to close. One of my clients, ex-client's friend, he decided to close down his broking firm. So I'd lost him as a client when he started it. When he came back, and I said, "What are you doing with your broking firm?" He said, "No, you're right, Prem. You were right. This didn't make sense for me, so I'm going to close it." So I asked him, I said, "What are you doing with your license?" He says, "Oh, just close it." So long story short, I went over to his house that evening. We shook hands, and I bought out that firm from him. We rebranded, we merged Kestrel into that, and lo and behold, Pioneer Insurance Brokers was born.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was done in one night, basically. And then
Wow.
yeah, and so now the journey is we are where we are. You know, it's been over 10 years, and it's good. Yeah, 2005 that started, so 15 years.
Exactly.
Yeah,
15 years.
Yeah, 15 years as pioneer. So I'm third generation in the business, and now my sons joined me effective the end of September on a full-time basis, and he's fourth generation in the business in Dubai now.
Wow. How does it feel?
It feels great actually because he's firstly there's a person who's strange enough he's keeping me accountable. I'm keeping him accountable. He's also keeping me accountable.
Wow.
So which is good because I've never really been held accountable by anyone.
Hmm.
So it's good in that way, and he has certain skill sets which are good, and it's given me the opportunity to go and do what I like best, which is my strength is business development and networking and going out there and meeting people and developing new clients, and him being here has actually given me that freedom to go and spend more time doing that. And in fact, he's been encouraging me on certain things which I didn't take out the time to do, which I'm actually able to do it, and it's helping me on my business development efforts.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so
It's very
that's a positive as such. And I guess it's all a part of transition, right? You've
Yeah.
done a lot of things for a long time, and now do something new.
Did he really? Did he always wanted to join your business, or like how?
Actually, when he graduated from Northwestern, he came back and he joined Deloitte as a technology consultant. So after working there for 2.5 years, we were sitting one Friday afternoon, the rest of the family was out of town. So he asked me, he says, "Why have you never asked me to join Pioneer?" So inside I was obviously very happy. So then I told him, "Listen, I've never encouraged you and I've never discouraged you. I always wanted it to be your choice." So he asked me, he said, "Okay, so if I wanted to, what do you want me to be doing?" So I told him, I said, "Okay, then what you do is finish your contract with Deloitte. Then you join me, and I have some conditions. One of the conditions was after you join me, you apply for a Masters of Insurance and Risk Management. It's a 1-year program in the UK." He said, "Okay." So sure enough, he joined me, 4 or 5 months later. Started in December, 2017? No, 18, December 2018. 2017. I don't even remember right now. Yeah, December 2017 he joined me.
Oh wow, 3 years already.
And he joined me for a time so that he so that he could start learning a little bit about insurance. In the meanwhile, he applied to Cass Business School to do his MS of Insurance and Risk Management, which he started. He got accepted, and he started in September 2018, and he finished it in August 2019.
Excellent.
So hence he's back September 2019 over here. Now he's here full time with me. And in the meanwhile, he's been able to get some experience. He was working 20 hours a week with a reinsurance broker in London. So he's brought in a lot of
Experience.
he's brought in some added value over there.
That's
So it's
great.
good. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. So that's a bit about the family business. I see your next question is what prompted you to become a DC?
How long now you've been a DC now? You've been one of our longest standing
Currently,
DCs.
yes. I think of the current crop, yes. Initially, in the initial days of when, in the early days of BNI, we first started it as ambassadors. Then it became DCs. So I was never very keen. The first ambassadors, I was not keen on joining. BJ had asked me. Then even DC, I was not keen. I was just not willing to step up to it. I think the whole role, etc., it didn't echo with me. Where it changed was when Madhup took over as DC of Early Birds. And obviously I was working quite closely with him at that time. I'm trying to remember if I was VP or president. I can't even remember now. It's been so long.
Yeah.
And I liked how Madhup did things.
Very organized, I must say.
Yeah, so I really liked how Madhup did things, and it echoed with my personality. So when Madhup then asked me This is, I think, a second or third time I've been asked. Madhu then asked me that, why don't you become a DC? I could see myself doing things the way Madhu did it. And I think that's what prompted me to say, yes, I don't mind taking on DC. Yeah.
How long has that been now?
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I think if I had to, was it 2014 or 2013? I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time. It has been a long time. Right?
Yeah.
You see, the first chapter I took over 2013. Yeah, I took over August 2013, I think.
Wow.
That was with Desert Rainmakers.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a chapter called Desert Rainmakers.
I remember that. Rashida used to be the member out there.
Rashida was there, Amanda was there, there was
Claire
a bunch,
was
Claire
there.
was there. There was a whole bunch of them there. In fact, that chapter was, strangely enough, majority of the chapter were ladies.
Really?
Yeah, there was only a few guys. Majority of the chapter was ladies, and it was a very successful chapter. I mean, it was an okay chapter. It had its struggles. They had a good bond and everything. Unfortunately, we had to close that chapter down, and then I think I developed a bit of a reputation as a hatchet man, that I closed down chapters because after that I was assigned to Synergy, and all the Synergy people thought that I was being assigned there to close them down. So yeah, that was Synergy was in 2014, if I remember correctly, and but yeah, it went well.
But even that chapter's rise from ashes, really, like literally
Yeah.
what it went down to,
Yeah.
and how it's emerged back up.
Synergy.
It's an amazing
yeah.
story to see how it has been.
Yeah, they're a consistent chapter now. They were a very weak chapter, and I think we had to change the foundations of that chapter. So, for me, it's I think in many ways, because I've been handling them for so long, Synergy really echoes how I am, because there's no politics there, or we try to keep that at a minimal. Things are very down to earth, very simple, get the stuff done, and there's a very warm feeling within Synergy. And I think to a large extent that's maybe, I mean, it's just the way it has worked out, and so I really enjoy that chapter, because it is just like that. They're not out there, they're not big movers, not big shakers. They're all simple people getting their work done, getting things out of the way, not trying to get the limelight. They're just
Enjoying and making business happen.
Absolutely. And they really try. These guys are great, because I mean, they'll take overseas holidays together, just the members, and they do things like that. Yeah, there's a real warmth about it. Yeah. So yeah, those are so I like Synergy there, and I won't take credit for it becoming like that, but somewhere along the lines, I guess it's happened. It's clicked in the right way.
You've been with them for a long time, so obviously, I think
something maybe I have affected them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You've shaped it up like that.
So,
it's amazing.
So yeah, that's what made me a DC, and that's where my journey is as DC, and now 3 chapters for now. I'm just helping, with 3 chapters, which is a bit of a task.
Imagine, yeah.
And now you asked me, I was one of the longest serving BNI members.
Yeah.
So what prompted me to stay so long in BNI?
How long have you been a member so far before you handed over to Karan? It was 14 years, 13 years?
October 2005, I think it was, I started.
Okay.
Or November 2005 it was, and then I handed over to him in the first week of October, second week of October 2019. So it was almost 14 years, yeah.
Wow.
And it just made me laugh, because I remember when I first visited BNI, that was before Early Bird started. And so I visited Falcons.
Me too.
Yeah, I visited.
Before, when I was going to join.
Yeah.
I was asked to visit by Dheeraj.
Yeah. So
at that time, Falcon used to meet at the club.
Falcons was the only chapter at that time when I joined.
Yeah, and Pankaj used to be a member there.
I don't remember.
It used to meet at the club.
I think it's even before Pankaj, perhaps.
Yeah.
So one of the guys in my office, Alex, he said, we got to go to this networking thing. And I had no interest in going for any networking forum. So, but I didn't want to dissuade him. He was after me about it, and he said, okay, we got to go. I think they meet on Mondays, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he told me we gotta go on Monday and everything, and I told him, okay, Alex, this is one time I'm gonna go, but I'm only doing it for you. I don't need to go for any networking. Born and brought up here. I know everyone that I need to know. Blah blah blah. You know. And when I went into that, if firstly he told me it's at 6:45 on Monday, I said fine. Then he came back and said, by the way, Prem, it's 6:45 a.m. And I was shocked. I said, who the hell meets up at 6:45 a.m.? What mad people are these? And he's like, no, no, you got. I thought it was 6:45 p.m. Go over there, have a couple of beers, meet some people, exchange some cards, and that's it, right?
Mm.
So this is a bit different. And then when I went, I think BJ was at that meeting also. He used to be a member there. And I went to the meeting, and for me, it was a big aha moment because I realized the only person I knew in the room was Alex, no one else. And for me, it was a big aha moment, and my eyes opened. And that's when, on the spot, I told BJ I'm interested.
Mm.
They had the core group for early birds, and that's how I joined early birds.
Oh,
Yeah, it was.
amazing. Wow.
And it's been an interesting journey. You know, so many people have come and gone in early birds. We've had our highs, we've had our lows. We've been the leading chapter for so many, terms. We have gone down in the dumps. I remember there was one term where I was president and it was called chapter director. At that time, we used to meet in Address Marina.
Mm.
We were down to 11 members. We were down to 11 members, and
My God.
yeah, it was all of a sudden this happened, and visitors weren't coming in, and that was the time that the whole concept of mini visitors day started. We started it on that day because the decision was that every single member, that come what may, the following week they will have two visitors.
Mm.
And we decided if a member was not able to or willing to bring two visitors, they should send in their resignation. And we said whether you invite 10 people and get two over there, or whether you invite two people and get two over there, we don't care. You don't have two on the day, resignation. It was as simple as that. And that's how things again picked up for early birds, and we went to great heights again.
Yeah.
So we've seen those cycles, and we've seen lots of different personalities. We've had great business out of it and great friendships out of it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. 11 is quite a low number actually.
Yeah, we touched
Now
11.
if you touch 18 or something, it's
Yeah.
like,
It touched 11. It was all of a sudden a crash for whatever reason. We had a big exodus or something. I don't know what had happened. And those were early years also of BNI, so we didn't have those learnings. We didn't have the experience of seeing, and then we've learned from that. Yeah, we know that what works, where it becomes critical. Now we know we hit a critical number before 18. Otherwise, before we were happy with 20, 25 members. We just didn't know.
yeah, yeah.
You know, it's a lack of knowledge really. So you ask what prompted you to stay for so long in BNI. One thing is there, it's the business is a given. Yes, you got to work on it. I've done a lot of business over the years. It's when I started a new company, a lot of the members helped me in setting up the new company, the branding, etc. Everything I got from BNI, and furniture, this, that, everything, the works, a lot of stuff. And I realized one thing. Obviously, the new company's name being Pioneer was very different than Kestrel. I realized over the years that because of my fellow members promoting me, apart from the business converting, the buzzword name was out there of the company, because I would go out, I would hand over a person my card, and they said, yeah, we've heard of you. I've got a great story. Yeah, and this tells you, right? This is how it helps you from the business point of view. I remember standing outside Lamsey Plaza one day, and this is where I told you we had a lot of Danish people, a lot of Danes in our chapter. So somebody called me inquiring about medical insurance. So when he was inquiring about medical insurance, he asked me, he said, Prem, have you been living in Denmark, or are you from Denmark? And I was like, no, I've never even visited Denmark. Why do you ask? So he said, because we have a Danes in Dubai Facebook page, And every time anyone mentions medical insurance, your name comes up,
Mm.
which is a great story, right? And that's simply
Absolutely.
because of my fellow Danes in
Early
BNI,
bird. Yeah.
in early birds. So these are learnings. And then, you see, as being an entrepreneur, running an insurance business, I tell people all the time that what are our learnings in BNI? You get your business. That's a given. If everyone should get business, otherwise something's seriously wrong. Apart from that, there's the other learnings we constantly have as entrepreneurs. We are constantly learning when every single member is standing up there telling us about their business, when we're having those one-to-ones. For me, I'm learning about all these other businesses. When we learn about it in the one-to-ones, these presentations, so on and so forth, and when our interactions with our fellow members, we learn about all these different industries, all these different trends. For me, that makes me a more complete
Yeah.
entrepreneur in helping my clients. So today I may have someone in printing, right, in my chapter, and then I have clients who are related to the printing industry. I'm able to talk to my clients about trends in the printing industry, I think, because I've learned of that from my fellow
Absolutely.
members. So all of these things actually help make me more complete, make me a bigger asset to my clients.
Absolutely.
So I would say that is, for me, is amazing. If you ask me, so that is 14 years ago, I was very, very uncomfortable about public speaking.
Mm. Same here.
Very, very uncomfortable. That's been a big bonus for me. For me in BNI today, I would say I'm a quite confident public speaker. If the material is present, which I know, then it doesn't matter what size audience there is.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing which I'm still not comfortable with is I hate using a mic. But otherwise, if the room's small enough, I prefer just my voice is loud enough, so I
Yeah.
figure I can actually
Absolutely.
don't have to use a mic. Yeah, so these are my learnings, I think, with BNI. So that's it. Yeah,
It's very similar to me.
yeah,
Even I was never a public speaker before. I used to be a
Yeah.
backbencher in school.
yeah,
It's taught me so much.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
take back so much in terms of intangible benefits. And like you said, business just keeps coming.
Business
Some people
will
get
come,
it
yeah.
now,
Some
some
will
people will
later.
get it later. As long as you're building on the relationships,
Yeah.
I think that'll definitely happen.
It'll happen. And
The intangible is just so immense that I think you would not see the others around you.
Absolutely.
That is so.
And there are so many things
key.
from BNI which, in terms of that rhythm, things which I've implemented in my company. Things which I've learned as a DC in our rhythm, what we do, or as a LT, what we do, how we report everything. I've put in certain of those small things, adapted it, and put it into place in my company as well. Those learnings. So I think these are all different important learnings. It's been so long. It's become so much of a part of my fabric. If you ask me what I've specifically learned and implemented, I don't know, because
Yeah,
it's just
you
come.
can't put a name to it.
Yeah,
There's so
I
much.
can't put a finger to it, and it's just happened. I would really have to sit down and think, what have I actually specifically taken out and put in here, taken out and put in there. These are things that, as a DC, I had to start becoming comfortable with PowerPoint. I never used to use it before. Things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are as a learning as a DC is that you have to be quite selfless. Okay, you can't be going in with an agenda. I mean, today I go in as a DC into, let's say, synergy. I'm in from the insurance industry. There's an insurance person already there. So from an ethical point of view, I've never really promoted my insurance business.
Yeah.
And so then you have to be completely selfless of just doing things not for yourself but for the greater good of the chapter.
Of course.
So these are all the different things that you start doing. You're dealing with a lot of different personalities. It helps you learn how to deal with different personalities and adapt. Yeah.
And sometimes it's not always easy, huh?
It's not easy at all. I've had times where frustrating long conversations, and it's not like you're talking to your employee, you're talking to a fellow BNI member or
They
colleague.
can be a business owner as well, so you have to
Exactly.
always be
Yeah, they are business
sure of
owners,
how to
so
handle them and all of that. Yeah,
it's challenging.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, but
Can
it is
imagine.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you asked whether I've handed over my BNI membership early, but um, so how has BNI helped me to achieve continuity in my business as well as in your family? I don't know. What plans do I have placed for Karan? You see, the reason I wanted to put Karan into BNI was very simple. At that time, I didn't want him to go into a launch chapter. I thought it was a stage in his career. He should not be going into a launch chapter.
Did he go to any BNI chapters
No,
before?
he didn't go. I knew which chapters are there, and
Because
he,
your category is such that it's
yeah,
taken
it's
everywhere.
taken everywhere. So he had substituted me a couple of times. He
Ah.
visited, and so he subbed for me, and then he visited with me also a couple of times. So he'd seen BNI in action.
He was comfortable.
He was comfortable and he liked it. So then it came that I asked him that is he interested in being BNI, and he said yes. So for me now the question was, do I put him in an existing chapter or a launch chapter? I didn't think launch chapter would have been appropriate for him at this time. So now it came to an existing chapter. Unfortunately, there was no categories open in any chapter for general insurance. So for me, the natural progression was I've had a long innings as far as being a member. I know how valuable it is as a personal growth. So for me, the natural progression was to step down and let Karan take over. I've done my thing. Maybe it's a time for a different age in a fresher mindset to take over.
But if that category would have been open in any other existing chapter, then would you have
I found it very
thought
difficult.
it differently?
I found it very, very difficult. Because okay, you get times when you get frustrated with your chapter and things. That's part of the, part of the regular thing. But even after I made the decision, I think I delayed on the decision for quite some time.
I know because Joshi's had this before.
Yeah.
I've heard his story as well.
Yeah, so
It's not easy.
It's not easy. You've been doing something every
It
single
was
one of
your-
my friends
It
knew.
was your weekly
Yeah, every one of my
schedule
friends
and all
knew
that.
that Tuesday morning Prem is not. I mean, my stockbroker who's in India, he does not call me from 7 to 9:30 or 10 on Tuesday mornings because he knows I'm in a meeting. So even to that extent, it's part of my ritual.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. It
Letting
took quite
go
some time.
would
Letting
not
go
have
was
been
not
that easy.
And so yeah, it's early birds will always occupy a special place in my heart. I mean, we were there from the beginning, and why I wanted to put Karan into it is because I think he'll grow as an individual, and for him from business development purposes, etc. Growing as a business person, I think it'll do a lot for him because I feel that this is such an amazing forum for a person to grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
As an individual. So I think Karan will grow being part of BNI, definitely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I like it.
And now you asked me about
3 chapters now
handling
for you.
3 chapters:
How you handling
Insomniac,
it?
Synergy, Early
What are the
Bird.
challenges? What are the advantages of handling 3?
Challenges or advantages? Which one do you want to know?
Insomniac being the larger one and followed on by the older chapter, Early
Yeah.
Bird, and then Synergy, which you've been there for
Yeah.
for
So all
a very
3 are
long time.
different, okay?
Yeah, I know.
Synergy is, I've gone through the curve with it, and honestly, it's just a case of oiling the machinery. Otherwise, largely it's on autopilot. I don't need to do much, just adjust direction, etc. And that's the advantage of Synergy because I've had a long working relationship with them. Early Birds is going through a difficult time. But the advantage of me having taken over Early Birds is that I know it inside out.
Yeah,
Having been a member for there for so long,
Yeah.
and touch wood, because I've been a member, I've done pretty much every role in the chapter. I've been a president and seen it through its successes, downfalls, whatever it is, and members know I've done that as well. So when I took over as DC, it was firstly it made the blow of my resignation a bit less, because yes, I was putting Karan in there, but I was taking over as DC. So I think that was a bit of a softening of the blow, and at the same time, I think another DC would have had a it would have taken them time to figure out the chapter.
And also to build those relationships. Yeah.
I already had everything in place. So that is the advantages of having taken over early birds. Challenges that are there with early birds is the same that you would have with any chapter who's having its struggles. But because of my relationship with all of them, they're all willing to hear me out, and they're willing to be guided along the path I want them to go on.
But right now there are many people in that chapter who have been there for a long time, right?
Surprisingly, no.
Mm-hmm.
No. If you look closely, no.
No.
There's with the when we did when we did the time planning exercise, timeline planning, we saw where the differences were in early birds. So
that exercise was so helpful.
yeah, and for me it was especially because I was all the way on the left. Then there was a big gap. Then the midway point, near the midway point, you had a couple of people, and then the majority of them are towards the right.
Towards the right.
So that was also a wake up call for me that what am I doing here? so yeah, it's that's the easiest part about early bird. It's very easily manageable, and people, because they're also eager to rectify the challenges they have right now, they're very open to my suggestions and the path I want to take them on. And I think it shouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be too difficult at all. Insomniacs, it's a different beast, because it's the largest chapter.
And you've taken over since about 1 year right now.
1.5 years. So when I took over, it was June 2018.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That long?
Yeah, June 2018.
I feel like it's just been recently.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Get into it and you feel it's much longer. So
Joshi was running it earlier, right?
He was running it earlier. It was too funny because Joshi was running Synergy earlier and I took over from him, and now he was running Insomniacs, I took over from him. So that's an interesting thing. So I joke with him, I said I'll be taking over corporate connections.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it was so I took over, and then the existing LT, the president was Anishka. Then subsequently in the first LT which I appointed was a very successful LT, and it blew everyone's mind because I put a member who had been around for quite some time, a very successful member who had never taken a role, and I made him president.
Who was this?
Gagan.
That's what I was telling. I was just thinking about it. It was Gagan, right? Because at that point of time, the chapter needed that.
So.
And he was quite good at it.
He was brilliant.
Yeah.
He was absolutely brilliant. So I what people have been telling me lately from Insomniacs is that they found it very refreshing on my approach on setting up LTs. Because I don't necessarily go for tried and tested. So they've seen a lot of new faces, or people who were traditional backbenchers have now become all of a sudden presidents.
Like right now, Bharat is there.
Yeah, and before him it was Ashwin Luchani.
Yeah.
No one, these were people not at the forefront, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it also changes their perspective, I believe.
That's good. That's
so
good.
It's nice, and we'll see.
Is there going to be whole new faces now for the next term?
Absolutely.
Amazing. Very good.
And I'm excited about it, you know. It's that's one good thing with my chapters is that, you know, the challenge with the Insomniacs is they have a great culture. They're great friends, and that's the biggest problem as well. So you know, that's a disadvantage of it, and we'll figure that out. You know, and they're getting there slowly and surely. You know, it's, So you know, something we realized is that we had a visitor day last year in Insomniacs. We inducted in such a big chapter 11 members in a 6-month period.
Wow.
Or it was a 3-month period, I forget what it was. and we really did well. That was during Gagan's term,
Mm.
and what was the biggest learning over there was we had a refreshing of the guard. We got a lot of 90s kids coming in, which weren't there before.
Mm.
A lot of 90s kids with that fresher energy,
Yeah.
and that was needed. We didn't realize it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
That's good.
otherwise others are there. I'm not saying we're old, but you need that newer generation coming in and bringing that energy, and I think that was very
That
important.
freshness is required.
Yeah, so we're seeing that in early birds as well. They joke about it that these are all the young guns because you've got all these 20 somethings over there as well,
Mm.
and it's refreshing. It's necessary,
Yeah.
because they don't have that jaded outlook, etc. For them, it's like everything's on a why not basis as
And of
opposed
course,
to a why.
you learn something from them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You're learning from them all the time.
You see things in such different perspective that you would have never seen.
So those are the developments and changes I've seen there. As now, obviously, our whole BNI network has grown so much. Our directors and ambassadors roster has grown so much. So it's different than how it was earlier.
Yeah.
Um, but that's all part of an organization becoming bigger.
Believe it or not, we are about 30 now.
Yeah.
The DNA team.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, it was a very close knit, smaller group.
You were
earlier.
very like how many? 4, 5 were there earlier?
6, 7.
Manoj,
that's it, yeah.
yourself,
Yeah. No,
Madhu.
Manoj wasn't even there when I was there.
So he came after you.
Yeah.
Mm.
And yeah, it was. We were small. We were a close knit group, and it was fun. Also that had its own advantages and its disadvantages.
So what do you see in terms of the change or what has evolved from that time onwards? Like you said earlier, you guys had an ambassador, then that role went off and then you had DCs
There was no
only.
DC. It was only ambassadors before,
Yeah.
and I never got real clarity. I think the first two ambassadors were
Joshi was an ambassador,
No, before
Gautam
Joshi.
was an ambassador.
Before Joshi, and I think Phil Bedford was an ambassador first, and I think
Yeah, I remember
Nick
that.
was an. I forget Nick. What was his surname? No, there was another Australian guy.
Engel something.
No, not Leon Engelbrecht. There was another Australian guy who was involved with planes or something. He was ambassador as well. In fact, I remember me running the trainings as well.
Really?
Those two guys. Yeah. I remember those. I can't remember the other guy.
I
So
remember
those,
the same.
so that was. You see, it was not only a case of the ambassador role. I think BNI UAE has evolved. There were so many things that we did not do earlier, and it's evolved like it would, and as in any company, as a company becomes bigger, so
Yeah.
systems come into place, etc. Things I would say were a bit more informal earlier, but as a company grows, you need to get systems and processes in place, and
Yeah.
that's what's happened. Um, and obviously with the size of the team growing to 30 as opposed to what it was 7, 8 earlier, that also has got to have its positives and its negatives as well, right? So yeah, it's part of change, part of involvement. I think there will always be uh, positives and negatives of each,
Yeah.
right? And but I think it's necessary today. I mean, even in my company, we were 11 employees before, we're 90 now.
Mm.
Things have changed. I mean, there were things I used to be able to do with my employees earlier because it was a small knit group that I can't do anymore.
Mm.
You know,
Mhm.
it's just part and parcel of
Managing
growing.
them becomes a little different than what it used to be before.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I mean, even with me personally, when I used to handle only synergy, I knew every single member very, very well. But now having to handle synergy, which has got 35, 36 members, you've got Insomniacs with 68 members, you've got Early Birds with another, 26, 27 members. It's a bit difficult to know, and I've realized, I mean, call it age, call it just handling too much. I um, I don't know members. It was a very funny situation the other day that there was another member who I met outside somewhere, and I
He knew you and you did
no,
not
it's
know.
not even that. Yeah, he knew me, and so I sort of acted as if I knew him. And then when he was away, I asked one of the other members. I was like, "Is that so and so?" Because I'd heard his name. And he said, yeah, he's a member, in Insomniacs. I said, I know his name, I've never met him, or I don't recall meeting him.
Chapters are also growing, and
Yeah,
plus now you're
and
managing three.
yeah, so so that is
It's
a challenge as well. And Insomniacs being a large one, it becomes difficult.
numbers are big,
Yeah, yeah,
of
so
course.
yeah, absolutely.
So now, as you know, because we're becoming, we are about
Mm.
30 and we're looking to hire our new line of ambassadors again
Yeah.
very soon. And there are the others who are expressing an interest as well. What would your advice be to them?
Yeah, my advice really to any
Anyone wanting to become an ambassador or a
ambassador or
DC?
DC, as I was mentioning earlier, you have to be selfless, because if you're going to take on that uh, role in the hope of creating new business for yourself, if that's your focus, then don't.
Hmm.
Because on an ethical basis, chances are your category is taken
Hmm.
in whichever chapter you're supporting. So I don't say that should be your main focus, because you'll be doing a disservice to the chapter and to the member who's already there in your category.
Correct. Yeah.
So that should not be your focus. If your focus is the financial rewards, again, don't do it. You have to be doing it on a selfless basis to, first of all, to do good for the chapter, to use your knowledge to help the chapter do well. And at the same time, if you want to talk from a selfish point of view, this whole being part of the ambassador, being part of the DC team, makes you grow as an individual.
Yeah.
As an individual for your company, as an individual, as a personality. Yes, it'll give you a lot of limelight, etc., if used in the right way. But my one real, the learning that I would impart to anyone is that be selfless. You will grow. You will learn so many things. There are so many things that um, you're given a lot of respect. Obviously, you have to earn it, but you are given that respect from your members. But there are so many different resources that BNI UAE also assists you with, and it gives you. I mean, when we sat down, because of Wendy, she's taught us a lot of nuances as far as public speaking and things like that. This is all some things that perhaps I wouldn't have gone out to learn,
Yeah.
but I've got all of this courtesy BNI
Hmm.
and being a DC. So yes, it has to be selfless, not selfish, because otherwise you have to be out there in an altruistic basis to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's tough. It is tough to actually, it gets frustrating many times. You got to be very, very patient, very patient. And yeah, I would say these are a few points I would give to anyone.
You were just talking about tools. I know this is not one of the questions, but
Hmm.
any tools in particular, because like BNI has grown right now. Just recently, we started with BNI University, I think about earlier last year or something.
Hmm.
So any particular tool that you use a lot? There are so many of them. BNI Success Net,
Yeah.
podcast,
I think
Connect.
I use podcasts quite a bit because I apply a lot of these things to my training with my sales force, with
Okay.
my sales team. I pick up a lot of those things
Hmm.
to try and so I use those podcasts. Um, BNI University is massive. It
Yeah,
is
it is.
massive for the people who want to be and who are able to use it.
Hmm.
I get lost in it sometimes, many times I would say. So maybe I'm still part of the older generation, which I'm not able to pick up
No,
all
there
that
are
stuff.
too many tools. There are too many
Yeah.
tools and too many drop
Yeah.
downs. But once you get a hang of it, then you know
Yeah,
which
so-
one to click and how to go about
So
it.
for me, that's a constant learning. I keep every time I go onto it, I feel like I'm starting all over again.
Yeah.
But I think you see over the years we've had different resources which national office has engaged us with. I remember we were with having the workshops with Rajesh Nagji. Then after that, I remember when who was this? We've had a few speakers who have come into town where we've all gone out there together as a as a DNA team. That's helped us.
Hmm.
Yeah, these are just continuing. So I told you about Wendy helping us with our public speaking skills. Yeah, there's so many different things that have helped us. these things I think are stuff that I really valued. That this has helped me.
Hmm.
Yeah, because perhaps some of these some of these similar type of resources may have not been. Yes, the one which we had gone for was Vern Harnish had one over.
Yes,
Yes,
I'd gone there for that.
yeah. So we'd gone as a DNA team. If I remember correctly, that was sponsored by the national office.
Hmm.
So these are all different things that helped us,
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
continuing to help us. Yeah, these are all helps us all grow as an individual. So yeah, those are the different resources I think have been very valuable.
Absolutely. Amazing. I'm done.
You're done.
So that was Prem for you, ladies and gentlemen, sharing his journey, his learnings, and his passion here at BNI.